Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zack, and for the last 7 days, I've been driving the 2024 Lexus IS500 F Sport. Up front is a 5.0 liter V8, and down below is an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be making this video because I have been driving the IS500 for the last 7 days. I've put a good amount of miles on it, and I have plenty of thoughts to share with you. I went through an entire range of emotions while I had this vehicle. There were days that I hated this car. There were days that I loved this car. And so I'm excited to share those reasons why with you later on. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 5-liter V8 under the hood, making 472 horsepower. Well, that is the crown jewel of what makes the IS500 so special. The IS has been around for a long time, of course, going back to the early 2000s. And you could still find an IS product with a V6, a 3.5 liter V6. It's a pretty good engine and has the modern amenities of this vehicle, and I think you'll really like it. But Lexus still offers, at least here in 2024, I don't know how long it'll last, the 5-liter V8 that's also found in the RCF and the LC500. It is amazing. I truly believe this is one of the best engines on the market right now, and one of my personal favorites. The sound, the brutality really makes for an incredibly awesome package here in the IS500. And everyone that I talk to, they always ask, what engine's in it? And I would tell them 5-liter V8, and everyone's jaw would hit the floor. No one knows that they still even produce this car, and so that's a fun spot to be in. Like I said, paired to it is an 8-speed automatic transmission, and this is 100% the Achilles heel of this car. It is lazy. It's not very poignant. When I hit the paddle shifters, it goes, let me think about it. Okay, sure. Maybe. And that's it. If this had the LC's 10-speed automatic, I think this car would be dang near perfect. I feel like it's really held back by that 8-speed. And that's because the torque converter in the 8-speed is from the Toyota Sienna minivan. So when I think sporty, I don't necessarily think Sienna. Last but not least, however, the IS500 is, as God intends, rear-wheel drive. So how does it feel to drive the IS500? Well, it's somewhat of a double-edged sword, and I'll get more into it with my final thoughts. But basically, you can drive it in a very cool, calm, collected, Lexus classy manner, and it'll be fine. But you can also put your foot all the way to the floor, and you can truly unleash the beast. Visibility is pretty good for a modern sedan. I can't really ask any more of it, and the ride is a little bit stiffer than other Lexus products, but it is the sporty version, so that's what you would want, and it does have active rear dampers. Fuel economy, 19.8. I was averaging around 22 on the highway, 22, 23 on the highway, which is pretty decent, but yeah, I drive this car like it has a V8, so, With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a completely digital gauge cluster. Now, this ring around the outside is physical, but everything else is digital. So you get your tachometer, speedometer, coolant temperature, fuel, and oil temperature all right on the screen. I think it's organized really well, and I don't mind it. On the steering wheel, on the left, we have our volume mode and skip track along with our phone options, and off to the right, we have our selector dials for that gauge cluster screen we just talked about, along with pages, back, lane departure warning, and pre-collision alert. To the bottom right of the steering wheel, we do have a cruise control stalk. Now, I was bewildered thinking that this does not have radar cruise. It does have radar cruise. They just still use the same stalk that non-radar vehicles also have, so there's no tell that it has it. You just kind of have to hit it and realize for yourself. The overall steering wheel is really nice. It is a perforated leather, which I tend to like, and it does have the F Sport badge down below. Off to the left, we do have a climate control vent, our odometer button, and gauge dimmer switches, and then we have our automatic high beams, our camera view button, rear sunshade, and our ASC. So really nice that we do get a 360 camera here in the IS500. Absolutely love seeing that. And we do get a rear sunshade, which, as you can see over my shoulder, Pretty cool. And when the sunshade is up, I can throw it into reverse here. And the sunshade goes down so I could see better out the back window. Put it back into park, and it'll automatically go back up. I'm not touching anything. Very, very cool that Lexus decided to do that. On the door, we have 3 levels of memory seats, as well as our set button, and of course, our power mirrors and power locks, along with power windows. Moving into the center, we do have our infotainment system. Now, this does not have wireless CarPlay or Android Auto, so it is a wired system still, and it is a touchscreen. And overall, I really, really enjoy using this touchscreen. I think the infotainment system has been pretty good with my time with the car, and it is paired to the Mark Levinson sound system, which I always adore. Down below, we have 2 climate control vents surrounding an analog clock. Love this nice little touch. And then we have our climate controls. So we have dual zone climate, fan speed, of course, obviously air conditioning and things like that, and the hazard switch down below. And we have a CD player here in 2024. We have a CD player, and so I actually went to the library next to my parents' house and picked up a CD for 25 cents. And so, this is what I've been listening to. Pharrell Williams, Happy, Katy Perry with Juicy J, Dark Horse, Hello Block, The Man, Avicii, Hey Brother, But Still Pompeii, Lord Teen, Jason Derulo featuring 2 Chainz, Talk Dirty, The Chainsmokers, Selfie, DJ Snake and Lil Jon, Turn Down for What, Kid Ink with Chris Brown, Show Me, Naughty Boy with Sam Smith, La La La, Bruno Mars, Young Girls, Miley Cyrus, Adore You, John Legend, All of Me, Passenger, Let Her Go, and American Author's Best Day of My Life. Now that's what I call Music 50. I am not kidding. I've been listening to this CD all week. It has a CD player in 2024. That's hilarious. But getting back to the Lexus, down below we have some badging for that Mark Levinson sound system, and we have our heated and ventilated seat controls and heated steering wheel. Absolutely love these options. The heated seats have been wonderful, and on some days I have needed the ventilated seats, which are equally wonderful. Then we have the shifter off to the left. This is the standard jigsaw shifter that Toyota Lexus has been using since the 1990s. Works well, don't have any complaints. And off to the right, we have our drive modes for Eco, Normal, Custom, Sport, and Sport Plus. Snow mode, traction control, and auto holding brake. Love all of those features. And down below that, we have cup holders. We'll do a big freaking bottle test here in the IS500, but just like the one I had last year, it unfortunately fails. To the left of that, we have our touchpad for map menu, back, and for the infotainment. I hate this with a passion. I think this touchpad is incredibly stupid, and I hope that Lexus does away with it in the coming years, like they did for the LC500. So the 2023 Lexus LC500 had the exact same trackpad, but for 2024, they got rid of it, and hopefully I should be reviewing one of those in the coming weeks. Then we get a center console, 2 USB-As, and an aux. Again, this is kind of dated technology in here. And then we'll talk about the seats, but really we can't talk about the seats without talking about the rest of the interior, which is red. A lot of people have a lot of controversial opinions about the red interior. I think it's absolutely gorgeous and 100% the interior color that I would pick. I think it adds a really nice liveliness to the car. That paired with the gray paint on the outside, I think it's a really cool combo and definitely catches some eyes. Now, the seats themselves are comfortable. Like I said, heated, power, ventilated, and memory. All of the bells and whistles that I would want, and they are a little bit more aggressive than other Lexus seats. A little bit higher bolsters just for that sportiness. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2024 Lexus IS500, and although the red does carry on back here, this is not great. This is Lexus's smallest sedan chassis that they make, and so backseat space is not good. I do get a center console back here with pop-out cup holders. That's nice. I get vents back here, which is nice. And of course, I adore the red interior, just like I did up front. But my knees are a little crammed. My head is coming close to the ceiling. Especially having driven the LS from Lexus. I mean, this is far and away a very different chassis, very different automobile. Let's hop out. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. Right around the back of the IS500, press and hold here on the key fob. pop it there, and then you could pull it the rest of the way up. We do have a front plate bracket for some reason, but back here, this is the rear cargo space of the IS500. Nothing really too crazy. Because the rear seats don't recline, it actually does have a little bit more space than like the LS, so that is definitely nice to see. But here's the trunk space. Nice wide opening. I will say you could probably fit a couple suitcases back there, so very, very cool to see. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and honestly, I don't love the color. It kind of looks like they just clear coated over primer. I just don't think it's as deep or as interesting as a lot of other Lexus colors. Lexus always has wonderful paint colors, very deep and very interesting colors, and then you look at this and it just feels like they didn't finish it before it rolled out of the factory. So I don't love it. I know some people, this is their cup of tea. It's not my cup of tea, but that's okay. I think the overall design of the IS500 is wonderful. I love the light bar across the back. I do think it looks sleek. And when I walked outside in my driveway every morning, I got a huge smile on my face. However, with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think having driven the IS500 for the last 7 days? Well, right off the bat, first of all, this is not my first press IS500. I had one last fall, and I adored it. It was this nice Grecian water blue. Loved that car. And so when I had the opportunity to have another one, I said yes right away. But everything is about context, right? So my previous 2 press cars that I had for a week was a manual Supra that you saw on the channel, and of course the manual GR Corolla Circuit Edition that you recently saw on the channel. And so coming off of those 2 manual turbocharged performance cars, I was very excited to get into this car. But as soon as I started driving it, I felt a little let down. It wasn't quite as exhilarating or as sporty or blood pumping as those cars that came before it. And so I needed a little bit of an adjustment period. After driving this car for the first time, I was like, okay, well, it's fine. But then I drove it more and more. I took it on a 2.5-hour each way road trip. I picked up some friends in it. I took it out to dinner. And slowly but surely, I really started to understand and appreciate the IS500 more and more. It's not meant to be this toe-curling machine like the GR Corolla and like the Supra. It kind of walks in both worlds. And what really set this off for me was I was taking my girlfriend home one night. It was about 1 in the morning, and she was, sleepier than a bear in hibernation. And I was able to comfortably drive her home in silence, nice, quiet, calm, collected car. And so in that way, it's very Lexus. If my girlfriend were to drive this car, she could turn on her Noah Kahan or Sarah J. Maas novel and drive it like any other Lexus. It's going to be calm. It's going to be collected. It's going to be luxurious and simple, and it's going to soothe her mind. But then, after I dropped her off, I was alone in the car with a 5-liter V8. At 1 in the morning. And that's when I could let this car do what the engine was designed to do, and that is run freely. And I had an absolute blast going home, revving it up, revving it down, blasting, now that's what I call music 50 through the Mark Levinson system. It put a huge smile on my face, and that was the beauty of this car. It was able to do both sides of that trip so well. The GR Corolla, you can't really drive slow. It feels terrible, it's stiff, and it's awful at slow speeds. Same with the Supra. Getting into the Supra, when you're tired, you hit your head on the roof and you have to swing your legs in and you can't see anything out of it. Those are very purpose-oriented cars. This can kind of do both. It can be that relaxing drive, or it can be that exhilarating drive. And so as the week went on, I started to appreciate this car more and more. The duality of this vehicle, that it isn't pigeonholed to one single thing. It can do it all. And that's when I regained my love for the IS500. This car is incredible, and the fact that they even still make it is even more incredible. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Lexus for sending me this vehicle for the last 7 days to drive. They are absolutely wonderful to work with. I always get excited when there's a Lexus on my schedule, and like I said, I have the LC500 coming up in a couple of weeks, which I'm excited to share with you as well. Huge thank you to Drive Shop for facilitating the cleaning and delivery of this vehicle, and of course, the Midwestern Automotive Media Association. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.